Hi, my name is Kara, and today I'm going to make a sweater inspired by my nail art. So these are my nails. They're a little bit grown out, but they are still pretty amazing, if I do say so myself. I mean, obviously I didn't do them, I just kind of chose them out, but my nail lady was like really working on them, and they came out so pretty. They honestly kind of remind me of like a candy cane. Why aren't they focusing? Here we go. Maybe if I put my arm here. And I really like them. I wanted like white nails, and I really love the white nails in the summer, but like it's kind of like plain white nails are a bit too boring for me right now, so I wanted to add a design. So here we are. And basically as soon as I got home, I like did chart something because I was so inspired by them. And now it's been like 2 weeks and I just never ended up knitting it. And now I want to get my nails redone because my nails are getting like kind of way too long. I think I'm gonna go short next time just because I miss like not poking myself in the eyeball every time I put in my contacts. But I'm hoping to make a sweater with this one just because I think a sweater is a little bit better. And I know it's summer, but it's going to be very like holy and breezy, so hopefully it's good for the summer. And I just thought that a top that had like this like see-through pattern would be a little bit too impractical for me. So I'm planning to use a bulky weight yarn and a mohair yarn. Or I don't know if it's bulky, but like a bodied yarn. So I have some Cascade Yarns Ecological wool, and it's this giant skein that I got from Firebird Yarns, and it's 250 grams for 437 meters. So it's huge, and I'm really excited. And I don't know, I've never worked with this yarn before. I might not skein up the entire thing. No, I have to skein up the entire thing. It's gonna take me forever to skein this up. But I also have some undyed mohair here, and hopefully this will only take one or two skeins. I only have two skeins, but I don't think it'll take more than one. But it's just some undyed mohair that I have lying around, and I'm excited to use the mohair for like the see-through bits. I'm hoping that it won't be too difficult to work with because I don't think I've ever worked with like a single strand of mohair, just like knit, in a very long time, or if ever, and I'm a little scared. But I really want the mohair to achieve that like see-through look because basically the way that they did my nails were they painted like a very clear like pink coat, and then they just painted the white stripes over it. So I'm planning to use intarsia here, but it might be intarsia with quite a few different skeins going on. So I think I'm gonna have to skein these up into multiple smaller skeins just so that it's easier for the intarsia. And hopefully if I pull from the center yarn, just pulling the yarn from the center skein, like it won't get too tangled because that way it won't like roll around a bunch. Yeah, because I have done that trick before where you pull from the center and the outer tails, I guess, on the center pull string, and it kind of becomes very messy because it gets super tangled, and then like the yarn just kind of rolling all over the floor. And with this amount of intarsia, I don't think that that's wise. So let's skein these up and get going. But I am planning to knit this sweater flat, mostly because it's going to be like entirely intarsia, and I still haven't learned how to do intarsia in the round, and that just seems overtly tricky. So I'm going to knit the front piece, knit the back piece, and then knit the sleeves. I still haven't decided if I want to add a collar or a neckline. Sorry, it is gonna have a neckline, but I don't know if I'm gonna add a ribbed collar, so I'm just going to knit the piece and see how it goes. Yeah, and I'm hoping for like a cropped, oversized look, but I do want big wide sleeves, and I actually haven't charted the sleeves at all, and I've honestly only really charted the front. But I'm just gonna knit the front piece first just to see what it's like, and then I'll figure out the back later. Okay, I really need a new skein winder or something because I just got so many tangles. Okay, I have everything skeined up now, and I have four little skeins of each, and they don't all fit in my hand, so just pretend that there's two more. But I am just going to knit now, and I think I'm gonna use 6.5mm needles, or maybe 8. I don't know, I kind of want this to knit up quickly, and I do want to keep that really light, airy vibe because it is a summer sweater. Also, to be clear, I have not knit a gauge swatch at all for this, and so this is quite the adventure. I have no idea how it's going to turn out. I'm just going to go for it. So I have cast it on and it's kind of pure chaos, but I'm just gonna try to go for it and see how far I can get. Okay, an update. It is getting super duper tangled, so I'm just going to sit on the floor and kind of just spread out all the yarn in a very neat pile, and hopefully that'll help. But it seems to be working pretty well. Okay, I'm just sitting on the floor on a blanket, and I have all of the yarn spread out around me, so hopefully that'll make it so that it doesn't get too tangled as I knit it. Okay, it got like way too tangled, so I'm just gonna have to cut this and start over. Okay, so this is actually going really, really slowly, and it came out really, really wide. So I think that I'm going to rechart everything so that there are less stripes on each row, because working with like 6 strands of yarn at once is a nightmare and it gets super duper tangled. So I'm going to take this off the needles, and I'm actually going to use 8mm needles, because looking at this, I think that this yarn is thick enough where 8mm will do, and I just kind of want to get it over more quickly. And I'm going to model it based off of, I think, this nail more, because before I was kind of doing something more like this, but it's too many colors going on at once. So I'm going to do more of like a kind of a wavy stripe pattern now, instead of just like the curves that go across. Okay, things are going a lot better. I'm really liking how it's turning out. I'm a bit worried that it's going to be too small, but I really like how like transparent the mohair bits are and kind of the organic shapes of it all. But I am worried that it's going to be too small. Okay, here is my progress so far. And it's a little hard to tell because it is so teeny, 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 tiny. But I am happy with how it's coming out. I am a bit worried that it's going to be too small, but hopefully I can block it bigger. I don't know, I did want it to be super small and cropped, but I don't know about this. So I'm just going to finish this panel and hopefully work on the next one, and then we can check it out. But it might be a bit small, but I am happy with how it's turning out now. And it's really cool on the other side too, because I think you can see maybe like the difference between the mohair and the bulky weight yarn a little bit better. So I just did 3 needle bind off to seam the front and the back together, and it is twisted. So I'm going to have to undo it and redo it. And this is honestly not the first time that this has ever happened to me. Okay, hi, quick update. Sorry, just came from the gym, so still in my gym clothes, but I finished the body last night, and it is pretty small, but I think it'll fit. It'll just be like kind of tight. But I was able to account for the fact that it was going to be really small by adding a lot more length to it. So as it stretches out, it won't be like super duper cropped. It'll still be cropped, but like it won't be like super duper cropped. And I was able to like pivot a little bit with the front piece by adding like 4 more rows, or not rows, columns to it, to make it a little bit wider. And I definitely would have added more, but I didn't want to make it too much wider than the back because I wasn't really sure how that would look. But it does fit over my head. And I still haven't decided whether or not I'm going to add a neckline or not, but I was worried because when I seamed it last night, I was like, I really hope it'll fit over my head, because sometimes that is an issue with the sweaters that I make. Like, I don't cast off enough stitches. So it will just, once I finish the sleeves and seam everything, oh my gosh, it'll fit like this-ish. And now I just have to do the sleeves. And hopefully they won't take too long, but they probably will, because they're going to have to be a lot longer than I did the body in, and they're going to be knit flat. Okay, so I have finished one of the sleeves, and it's hard for me to tell how long it'll be because it's been so long since I've had to seam on sleeves. But they also kind of turned out a bit thinner than I expected them to, so it's just gonna be like one of those really long, kind of thin sleeves. And I had intended it for it to be like big, wide sleeves, but I'm not gonna reknit this because I'm getting a little bit tired of doing the intarsia with the mohair, just because it is a little bit stressful, because the mohair is just, I'm scared that it's gonna break. And then it gets really tangled all the time, and it's not so bad when there's only like 2 strands of like the bulky weight yarn and the mohair, but when it's like 2 strands of mohair and the bulky weight yarn, like they just get so tangled, and the mohair is so thin to work with that like you can't see the knot itself that well to like undo it or untangle it. But I only have one more sleeve, and then I have a bunch of seaming to do. And as I was making this, like I realized that once you make like the tube of the sleeve, like the mohair and the bulky weight yarns don't match up, so it'll be a pretty obvious seam at the underarm, I guess, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna make the other sleeve a little bit more bulky weight heavy just so that I don't have to work with mohair as much, just to make it a little bit easier on myself, and like that way it's like not perfectly symmetrical, the sleeves, but it'll still be on theme. But it is slowly coming together, and yeah, just one more sleeve and then a lot of seaming. I think the only time that I don't knit in the round for sleeves is literally when I'm doing intarsia. The last time that I seen on sleeves was probably when I made an In the Mood sweater, and that was like over a year ago. I was trying to film a bit, but then Ollie started drinking water, and I'm just here waiting. That's him drinking water. That's him in the corner right there. Okay, now he's just licking the wall. I don't know what's going on with him. But another thing that I forgot about intarsia is that there are so many ends to weave in, and I've been trying to be good and weave them in as I finish each panel. But this is what I've like woven in so far. So like each of these is its own individual, like weave it in, cut it, then like just like put it on the desk. And it's a lot, but hopefully it'll be worth it. Okay, the second sleeve is done, and I did a little bit less mohair just to make things go quicker. And I know it seems like there's a hole. I don't think it's a hole. I think I just wove in an end weird. I'm not gonna worry about it too much. It's probably fine. So now I just have all the pieces and I need to seam them all together. And depending on how it looks, I probably won't add any like ribbing anywhere, like just like no collar, it'll be collarless. Hopefully that'll look good. It doesn't really seem like the type of sweater that would have collars. Plus I forgot to do ribbing at the bottoms of all the sleeves, so needs to be consistent. But I think the strategy here is just to use the chunkier yarn to seam everything, because I think that the mohair will be far too delicate to actually seam anything with. So it will definitely show when I seam the mohair bits with that bulky yarn, but hopefully it'll be okay. Okay, I have one sleeve stitched on. Not the best seaming, not the worst seaming. Well, let's just say it's not the best seaming. Okay, I have everything attached now. I just need to actually put it together, seam it together so that's like a tube. You just do a little try on here. I don't know what I'm doing. It's like a weird poncho. So I would normally start seaming the sleeves into tubes first, but I think that the strategy here is to actually seam the body and then go up and then make my way across the arm, because I think that'll be more manageable. But sometimes when like you seam for that long, when you're pulling the yarn through for that long, it starts to come unraveled. Like with single ply yarn, it definitely comes apart all the time, and then like with the plied yarn, it starts to slowly unravel, and then like you're kind of nervous that it's gonna break. So I think bottom of the sweater up to the armpit and then across the arm is the way to go, because I think it's a little bit more easy to weave in ends and reattach yarn if it's in the middle of the sleeve versus if it's in the body, just because the body's already going to be so tight. one side completely done. It's definitely curling at the edges, but that's alright. I'll block it after I finish seaming and I try it on and just make sure that it looks okay. It feels almost tight at the shoulders, like I might not have left enough room, but it's okay for now. I'm just curious on how it will change after I seam the other side and it can like stretch out more. But maybe that'll make it feel better. Okay, here we are. It is done. It is fully seamed. It does roll a little bit because I haven't blocked it yet, but here it is. Look at it compared to the nails. It is pretty cropped, but it does fit. And it's not like so cropped that I can't wear it. Like I would definitely wear this in the late summer / fall when it starts to get a little bit colder. Honestly, I could probably wear it like during the summer too because it's so cropped and airy. It's not my normal style, or maybe it is my normal style. I actually have a few tops that fit this way, but like I don't think I would have made this top had I not had nails that looked pretty similar to it. And comparing the nails to the top itself, like now I'm kind of realizing that the yarn itself was more of like an off-white and like the nails are a regular white, but you live and you learn. But I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I think that if I were to make it again, I would definitely make it a little bit wider, although I like the cropped fit actually, the cropped tight fit. So maybe I wouldn't make it wider, but maybe I would try to make these stripes more obvious. Like I wasn't super sure how the intarsia with the mohair would work out, and it doesn't show quite as clear, but I do really like the see-through look, and it is like super delicate. So I would maybe try holding like 2 strands of mohair together just to make it feel like it won't rip apart accidentally. And I kind of like the like no ribbing look. Like it makes it much more of like a top rather than a sweater. And I did intend for it to be a top rather than a sweater. And honestly, like I don't know why I was so stressed about not having enough yarn, because I have so much yarn left over now. Like I need to measure it, but I could honestly probably make another one of these with the yarn that I have left over. And I don't know what I expected. Like I always make things super cropped, super fitted, and yes, maybe sometimes I do really big wide sleeves, but like that didn't really happen here. Although that was the intention. Although I'm not mad about how they came out this way. The shoulders do fit. They are maybe a little bit tight, but I think that blocking it will help. This is why I tend to avoid seaming, just because like I'll make it so that the shoulders do fit, or the armholes fit my shoulders, but then when you add seaming, like it takes up so much space, like it probably removes like 1/2 inch to 1 inch of that like circumference. So I've had a few times where I made a sweater and then I didn't make the armholes big enough when accounting for seaming, and then it's a little bit tight on the shoulders. So my default then is just to give it to my mom, but I don't think my mom wants this top. It's really small. Yeah, I think this top is a little bit more artsy than I would normally wear, but I really do like it. It's growing on me for sure. Like, yes, the seams on the underside don't really line up because I wasn't that careful about the charting, and I got kind of tired of seaming, if I'm being honest. Like, when it came to seaming the mohair bits, I was like, just kind of going for it. I wasn't being super careful about making sure that it was like from the same row, and honestly, like I sometimes grab like multiple columns just because I want it to be a little bit stronger for the seaming, because one strand of mohair to hold the seams together doesn't seem like enough. Yeah, I think that if I were to make this again, I would definitely try to make it a little bit more even. I think that I made it a little bit more jagged. I think compared to the actual nails, it's a lot smoother with the like diagonals and the swoops, and I was kind of making it a little bit more jagged, which was intentional because like I saw it on the charts. I just wasn't really thinking about it hard enough. But I definitely consider writing a pattern for this one. It does take a lot of intarsia, but I think it kind of pays off in the end, and I think I want to make it in purple because I do have some like leftover lavender bulky weight yarn and also mohair, so that could be really fun. But thank you so much for watching and sticking with me. This was a long project, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. I am excited to get my nails done so that I can finally like put my contacts in without like scratching my eyeball a little bit. But hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Happy knitting, and see ya.